Welcome back, Guggeners family. There comes a moment in every great institution's journey when sentiment must give way to clarity. A moment when reputation, nostalgia, and old labels can no longer outweigh performance, progress, and purpose. For Arsenal, that moment has arrived. The time has come for the club to finally move on from the man once hailed as the talent of the century. That phrase carried enormous weight. It promised greatness, consistency, and leadership. It suggested a player who would define an era, lift standards around him, and become the embodiment of Arsenal's footballing identity. Years later, that promise remains largely unfulfilled, lingering more as a burden than a beacon. This is not a letter written in anger, nor one fueled by personal dislike. It is written from a place of realism and ambition. Arsenal are no longer a club rebuilding in hope. They are a club competing with intent. The margins are now finer. Every squad place matters. Every minute on the pitch must justify itself. For too long, this player's presence has been protected by reputation rather than output. Injuries, inconsistency, and fleeting moments of brilliance have replaced reliability and influence. One good performance followed by 3 anonymous ones. There comes a point in the life of every great club when hard decisions must be made, decisions that test loyalty, sentiment, and long-held beliefs. For Arsenal, that point has arrived. This is not a reaction born out of one core performance or a single disappointing season. It is the conclusion of years of hope, patience, and repeated reassessment. Arsenal must finally part ways with the player once described as the talent of the century. That phrase alone created an impossible standard. It promised dominance, consistency, and leadership across generations. It suggested a footballer who would not only rise to the occasion, but redefine it. A player who would become synonymous with Arsenal's success, much like legends of the past. Yet football, as unforgiving as it is honest, does not reward reputation forever. It rewards performance, availability, and impact. This letter is not written with hatred, mockery, or disrespect. It is written with clarity. Arsenal are no longer a club drifting between eras. They are a club with direction, identity, and ambition. The standards have risen, and so must accountability. No individual, no matter how gifted or once promising, should exist beyond scrutiny. For years, Arsenal fans were told to be patient. We were told the breakthrough was coming, that injuries were the only obstacle, that consistency would arrive with time. We waited, we defended, we believed. But football does not pause for potential forever. Eventually, potential must become production. The problem is not that this player lacks ability. On the contrary, the flashes of brilliance are what make the situation more frustrating. A sublime touch here, a moment of vision there, an occasional match-winning performance that reignites belief. But elite football is not built on moments. It is built on reliability. Arsenal cannot afford players who influence 1 game out of 5, when the season demands influence every week. Availability is a form of ability. This truth is uncomfortable, but it is undeniable. Too many seasons have been shaped by absences, fitness concerns, and cautious returns. Arsenal have had to adapt systems, rush replacements, and alter momentum because one of their most talked-about players could not be relied upon consistently. A title-challenging squad cannot be constructed around uncertainty. The modern Arsenal under Mikel Arteta is built on intensity, discipline, and collective responsibility. Every player is expected to press, track, recover, and execute tactical instructions with precision. When one individual cannot meet these demands regularly, the entire system suffers. Football at the highest level is unforgiving to imbalance. There is also the issue of evolution. Arsenal have moved forward. Younger players have stepped up with courage and hunger. New signings have arrived without legacy pressure and delivered immediately. Standards in training, mentality on match days, and accountability within the squad have all improved. Holding on to a player because of what he was supposed to become risks holding the team back from what it already is. Sentiment is powerful at Arsenal. The club values loyalty, connection, and history. These are strengths, not weaknesses. But sentiment should not become stagnation. Great clubs know when to say thank you and move on. They understand that endings, when handled with respect, Do not erase beginnings. There is also the financial reality. Arsenal are operating at the elite end of European football again. Squad places are precious. Wages must reflect contribution. Retaining a high-profile player who cannot consistently justify his place limits flexibility in the transfer market and blocks opportunities for players who are ready to step up now, not someday. This is not about erasing the past. There were moments worth remembering. There were goals that lifted stadiums, performances that sparked belief, and periods when the label talent of the century felt justified. Those moments deserve recognition, but they cannot be the foundation of future planning. Arsenal are no longer rebuilding around hope. They are building around execution. The Premier League does not wait. Rivals strengthen relentlessly. Margins decide titles. A single dropped point, a single missed opportunity, a single unavailable player can define a season. Arsenal cannot afford passengers, no matter how gifted they once appeared. Moving on does not mean failure. Sometimes it is simply honesty. Some players flourish elsewhere, freed from expectations that grew too heavy. Some clubs need change not because of hatred, but because of ambition. Arsenal must choose ambition. This decision would also send a powerful message. It would confirm that no label, no nickname, and no past promise outweighs present contribution. It would reinforce the culture Arteta has worked tirelessly to build, a culture where performance is the only currency that matters. Fans deserve clarity, players deserve fairness, and the club deserves progress. Keeping a player out of fear of regret is not leadership. Leadership is making the decision that best serves the collective, even when it is uncomfortable. Arsenal have suffered through years of holding on too long to fading stars, too long to broken projects, too long to dreams that never fully materialized. The current era has been defined by learning from those mistakes. This should be no different. Letting go of the talent of the century is not an act of betrayal. It is an acceptance of reality. It is the acknowledgement that talent alone is never enough, that football at this level demands durability, consistency, and relentless contribution. Arsenal are closer than they have been in years, closer to titles, closer to dominance, closer to reclaiming their place among Europe's elite. Every decision now must push them forward, not anchor them to unfinished stories. So this letter is not a demand rooted in frustration, but a plea grounded in ambition. Thank the player for the moments, the effort, and the hope. Wish him success elsewhere, but choose progress, choose clarity, choose the future. Thanks for understanding. Please share, like, and subscribe.